I'm not the biggest fan of Biden. Okay, Biden, Sleepy Joe, hair sniffer, Boyerino, said he'd he'd veto Medicare for all if it made it through the House. I don't like him that much, but he's the presumptive nominee, and Trump is far worse. So that's the guy I'm going to be in the trenches for. Okay, so we're riding with Biden. We're on the malarkey bus. We are taped. Our mouths are taped and our hands are tied behind our back, and we're on the floor crying. But we're on there, and we're going to the voter booth. Okay. With all that being said, Biden is bad. Trump is worse. And Biden is not all bad, because just recently, we heard earlier that a couple months ago that Bernie and Biden were going to come together to form a committee to push for a more progressive policy platform for Biden when he moves into the general election. That committee just wrapped up a lot of the things that just wrapped up for a lot of things. They came out with a lot of good policy proposals, and one of them, since AOC and the Sunrise Movement were on that committee, the one thing that they pushed for very strongly was climate change. And it seems like they were able to get a lot out of the Biden campaign, because Biden outlines a $2 trillion climate plan recently for what he's going to be running on in the near future. We can read through it to see what he's got. So we can read through it to see what he's got for us, okay? The presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden on Tuesday outlined an updated climate change plan seeking to invest $2 trillion to boost clean energy and rebuild our infrastructure. This is great, okay? Climate change is really important, and we don't have much time to get it done. With Trump's presidency lasting 4 years, we've lost a lot of time and a lot of valuable resources to his super climate change is a Chinese hoax garbage that he's been spewing to his to the world, pulling out of the climate the Paris Climate Accord, not keeping up with our CO2 emissions. This has been really horrible, and we need to get him out of there to ensure that we can at least catch up to where we should be for climate change. And it seems like Biden is more open to moving in a more progressive, quicker, and more radical direction, which is something that we could all get behind. At least I can hope. Well, at least the good one. The good ones here can get behind. Biden's climate initiative calls to chart the United States on an irreversible path to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. All right. So this goal is conservative. All right. This is a very conservative goal. 2050, that is about at the end of what climate scientists are saying that we need to avert irreparable environmental damage to the planet. Okay, so that is still a conservative goal, but it is a goal that we can theoretically reach if we put our if we put our mind to it. Here is the most as the richest country in the world, we have absolutely no reason to not be pushing for a more progressive plan. But if Biden's going to be our guy and he's going to be at the reins, this is orders of magnitude better than Trump exacerbating our CO2 emissions at the moment. To do that, the plan would aim to achieve a carbon pollution-free power sector by 2035. Now, this is the more progressive policy. By 2035, that's really, really good for a positive carbon pollution power sector. Right now, we're moving away from. You really can't stress how more preferable it is to. My bad, I can't read. Really can't stress how much more preferable this is over Trump's plan, lack thereof. Oh yeah, Trump's plan is just like. Burn anything you can. So burn as much carbon as you can. Burn all the trash bags that you have in your house, in your backyard, to own the libs. The Trump administration, I'm telling you, dude, like your average like super hardcore Trump supporter would eat like a bowl of like literal feces if he thinks that he could get a liberal to smell it. I mean, these people, I have absolutely no care for these people. I have little sympathy for these people. They're actually awful. And I know for a fact they'd read something like this and go, huh, and then like rev the engine on their like diesel truck and watch like like a mountain of just fog and smog just pour out of the back of their truck as they, like, I don't know. They still dream about like getting in their freaking F-150 Raptor and then like running over a Prius just for fun, just because they don't like it. I don't know. These people are insane to me. Yeah, Trump's plan is like, we're already great. Trump's plan is literally, I think we could use a little bit more CO2, honestly. We're a little too clean. I drank some water and it was a little too clean. I was like, this could use some, this could use some bus, a bus exhaust. Like, honestly, I miss it. Man, that's just from living in New York, though. So what can you say? It would also upgrade 4 million buildings and weatherize 2 million homes over 4 years to increase energy efficiency. And the proposal, Biden's campaign said, would seek to shift major cities towards public transportation and create millions of good union-paying jobs, rebuilding America's crumbling infrastructure. Now, this is great because Biden was able, it seems like AOC and the Sunrise Movement, along with Bernie, were able to push Biden to adopt like a skinny Green New Deal. Like a skinny Green New, like a pale New Deal, like an olive green New Deal, something like that. This is wrapping up our infrastructure with union jobs and public transportation is a really good way to get more people on board, because you're kind of grabbing from all areas that have lots of problems in our country and pulling them together for a climate change initiative that can really bolster our country and help us get to a net zero carbon emissions goal in a reasonable amount of time. Because this is great. This is fantastic. Okay. Biden's really looking at putting forward things for people to vote for. Okay, I said that before and I said it again. Back when people were like, "Oh, Biden won, Bernie dropped out. This is horrible. He's going to be like, he's going to run to the right of Trump." I said, absolutely not. He's absolutely not going to do that. He's not great, but he's not all bad, and he has some really good things to offer. There are some good things to vote for in Biden. There really are. When Donald Trump thinks about climate change, the only words that he can muster is hoax. True. Biden said in prepared remarks on Tuesday in Wilmington, Delaware, I think of climate change, the world, my bad. When I think of climate change, the word I think about is jobs. And that's a really good rhetorical strategy because lots of people are pushing that, to get to climate change, to get to those goals, we'll have to lose a lot of jobs. It's really good to like tamper down some of those fears by saying that we can really do this, but also make sure that we take care of good paying jobs for people. Good paying union jobs that will put Americans back to work. And that's really where I think is great. Even Jay Inslee tapped in. And if you remember, Jay Inslee tapped out of the election reasonably early when he didn't make the polling goals to maintain he didn't make the polling goals to get to the debates anymore. He dropped out, but he was basically ran as the climate change guy. He was the climate change guy. Imagine he was Yang's like alternate reality version. You know how Yang was the UBI guy, Inslee was the climate change guy. And it seems like Inslee wanted to tap in there and call Biden's plan visionary. I'm not sure if I'd go that far to say visionary, but if we're going to hype up Biden to make sure that he has as much momentum as possible going into the 2020 election, which is very vitally important to get Trump out, I'll call it great. You know, I'll take it any day of the week. I'll take this plan over anything that Trump or the Republicans have to offer because they're offering literally nothing good.